Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nitai Gauranga bolo, Nitai Gauranga. Nitai, 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 Nitai Gauranga. Jai Sachinandana, Jaya Sachinandana. Jai Sachinandana Gaura Hare. Gaura, Gaura, Gaura Hare. Jai Sachinandana Gaura Hare. Nitya Gaura Hari Bal, Hari Bal, Hari Bal, Hari Bal. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivajagacharya Ashtotara Satasi Srimad His Divine Grace Abhay Charanaravinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki, ISKCON founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada ki, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki, Prem se kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Prabhupada Anuga ki, Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda ki, Nittai Gaura Premanande. All glories assembled devotees, all glories assembled devotees, all glories assembled devotees, all glories, all glories, all glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Srimati Radharani ki, Shri Radha Madhava ki, Shri Radhashtami Mahotsava ki, Nittai Guru Premanande. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. I'm reading from ecstatic potency, Hladini. Their companions are her confidants who embody extensions of her bodily form and who are imbued and permeated with ever blissful spiritual rasa. Krishnera karayayaiche rasa aswadhana krida rasahayayaiche shuna vivarana. Now please listen to how Lord Krishna's consorts help him taste rasa and how they help in his pastimes. Om Tat Sat. Om Ajnanatirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nitanamane. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Today is Radharani's appearance day, Radhashtami. And for Gaudiya Vaishnavas, Srimati Radharani's appearance day is very, very important. Normally the world doesn't know that so well. Maybe in Vrindavana, in ISKCON temples and certain places in India, in the north of India especially, this is celebrated in a big way. People generally know about Krishna Janmashtami and they worship Lord Krishna and they come in hordes for Krishna Janmashtami. But people know very less about how Krishna is controlled by Radharani and how the gopis control Krishna through pure love of Krishna and how Krishna is completely submissive to Radharani and the love of Radharani and how therefore she occupies a very exalted position in Krishna's pastimes. So, these details and information, most people wouldn't know it. Why they won't know it? Because they simply don't know it. They cannot know it. They have no means of knowing it. It is mentioned that only it's by Krishna's mercy that we get to know Krishna. Because Krishna has decided to speak about himself and Arjuna has been used as an instrument for asking questions about Krishna, that Krishna spoke about himself in the Bhagavad Gita, so that people will know. Normally people don't know. The meaning of the material world is I don't know. The meaning of the material world is ignorance. The meaning of the material world is tamas. Tamaso ma jyotirgamaya. That's why the Shastra is telling, give up the darkness and come to the light. Come to knowledge. So mostly in this material world, people are blind to the reality. That is the meaning of this place. So what do we know? We don't know anything is the right answer. But seeing that people are in that condition and seeing that unless Krishna reveals himself to the conditioned souls, it will not be possible for them in any way to understand any truth and light. Krishna gives the Shastra, the scriptures. That is mentioned in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. That Krishna manifested himself and gave the scripture. In the scripture also, it is not so easy to understand Krishna. If you are not inclined to understand Krishna, and if you are more inclined to understand karma, jnana, yoga, you will get that only. You will get that only. The way it is mentioned in the scripture, you have to crack it open only with devotion. Only with devotion. That is why even in the quintessence of all scriptures, Bhagavatam, You will see Parokshavada Vedoyam Balanam Anusashanam Karmamokshaya Karmani Vidagde Adagdham Yata. It is like sugar-coated medicine because you don't like to take that medicine. Just like sugar-coated medicine is given to you. In the same way, even in the Bhagavatam it is mentioned that when Krishna's Leelas are mentioned, some material benefit is mentioned, which is not the way it is supposed to be. It's not like that. It is not that by hearing Gajendra Moksha, you duswapna, you will not get bad dreams anymore. That's not the reason we read Gajendra Moksha. It's not that by hearing Dhruva Maharaja's pastimes, you will get to rule. It is not the reason Dhruva Maharaja's pastimes is enacted. Because inside, when you hear and see Dhruva Maharaja's pastimes, you see his pure devotion for Krishna. But many times the question is, why is Bhagavatam mentioning like this? Because of this Parokshavada, indirectly leading you and seeing whether you are fit and you like to know. Only if you are interested and you like to know will the door be opened. But you are invited. Everybody is invited to the function. And if you are not very interested in seeing the main persons, it's okay. You can hang around the periphery and then you can talk gossip and feel what is the latest news and everything and talk, and you can go away. Many people come to the temple also like that. Many people come to the temple, sit there and talk about the latest news about the chief minister coming next door. They don't talk about Krishna, they don't talk about what is going on here. Others come here and try to find out whether they can get some boy for their girl, or they can get a girl for the boy. Or two boys and girls come here and say, this is a nice place for us to meet. Many people come to the temple. All of you know. Some people come to buy from here some things to eat. And incidentally they worship the Lord. The reason why people come to the temple is so many. The reason why you read scripture also is so many. Jnana, karma, yoga. Very few people want to come directly and who is this person? Here is God, Krishna. How do I get close to him? Very few people ask. For such people there is little door opened. Will you sustain? And as he sustains and more he inquires and more he becomes interested, more and more the door is opened, more and more he gets to know. Why? Because this is very, very private and confidential matter. Falling in love with Krishna means Krishna will come under your control. Almost it's like that. So only those who can handle it are given that information. Even in the Bhagavatam it says so. Therefore, inside the Bhagavatam is this glory of Radharani. If you read the Bhagavatam like that, you'll never see it. You'll never see it. So it requires Krishna only to tell you how to read the Shastra and how to see what is packed inside. What is really packed inside, you will not be able to see if you read just like that, without the help of a pure devotee of Krishna. You will not get to know. Similarly, Krishna only is coming and revealing these things about himself to us. And we can understand that also only through the pure devotee. Where there is devotion only, things will open up. And today you are reading that the essence of love of Godhead or devotion is bhava, emotion, feeling, very deep. And the top pitch of that emotion is Mahabhava. And Radharani is the personification of that Mahabhava. So you can imagine how deep is this Radha Tattva. It's not meant for anybody and everybody on the roadside to understand. You cannot. And that is why Shukadeva Goswami is not at all speaking about Radharani. In the whole Bhagavatam, you don't see mention of Radharani at all. Anayaradito. There is one gopi who is excelling everybody in worshipping the Supreme Lord. That's all is the mention. Shukadeva Goswami is not speaking from his mouth about Radharani because of the confidential status of Radharani and her devotion, and it cannot be understood by everybody. But inside this Bhagavatam is everything about Radharani hidden. Is everything about Radharani hidden. And it takes Krishna to come and tell you that. Krishna spoke about himself in Bhagavad Gita. Then he gave the Bhagavatam when he left. Krishna swadhamopagate dharmagyanadibhi saha kalau nashtadrishametam puranarko adunoditaha. Krishna went back, Dharma and Jnana also went back, and Krishna appeared again as the Bhagavatam. Puranarko adunodita. This Purana, Bhagavata Purana, is like the sun that rose after Krishna left. He left the Bhagavatam. And then he appeared again to explain what really is the Bhagavatam pointing at. He came as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and became a Bhagavata. Prabhupada explains this in the introduction to Chaitanya Charitamrita, the book Bhagavatam and the person Bhagavatam, and he says the person Bhagavatam is Krishna himself come as that. He's come as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to explain how to understand the Bhagavat. He came and spoke about Radharani. He came and glorified Radharani's love because he accepted Radharani's bhava. Radha bhava suvilita Krishna Naumi Swarupam. He accepted that bhava, that emotion of Radharani, that Mahabhava. And he came in a body that resembles Radharani also in color. Gauranga, golden. And he gave the whole world knowledge about Radharani's devotion and who is Radharani. That is how people have come to know who is Radharani. Otherwise, nobody will talk about Radharani. I am saying all these things today because I am forced to speak about little bit about Radharani. I like to keep it as minimum as possible. Because I don't think I am very qualified to speak about Radharani. It's not just as we read and cut and paste and say something. There's plenty you can cut and paste and say from all over the internet. What do we know? How much do we know? How much do we know? How much can we know? That's very important to know the depth of this personality called Radharani. So having said that, still today is Radharani's appearance day. So we must offer her complete surrender and prayers. Why? Prabhupada mentioned very simply, although he has written such deep purports to Radharani's tattva in the Chaitanya Charitamrita and everything, he very simply spoke in his lecture and he said, Radharani is the greatest devotee of Krishna. Radharani is such great devotion that Krishna completely is sold out to her. Therefore, if you want to be recognized by Krishna, Radharani should recommend. And he said, since she is in charge of all the services rendered to Krishna, she only offers all the services to Krishna. If you please her, she may tell Krishna, this devotee, nice person. Immediately Krishna will bestow his mercy on you. He says, today we can request Radharani, Taptaka Anchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishaphanusute Devi Pranamamai Haripriye. We glorify Radharani. How much ever we are able to know, what can we know? As Prabhupada uses this thing, as a bird flies in the sky, in Chaitanya Charitamrita it's mentioned. You know, the sky is so huge. You can see one small bird flying in the sky. Its domain is very less. How much can it fly in that huge sky? How much ever it can fly. Eagle can fly much more. Vulture can fly, other birds can fly even more. And down the line, a sparrow can hardly fly from little bit from here to there. Crow. So as much as a bird can fly, that much the sky can be accessed. As much as each person has got devotion to Krishna, that much he can actually describe. In this way, Chaitanya Charitamrita, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami describes and says, it is so huge, the glories of the Lord and His devotees, and more huge is the glories of Radharani. How much can be described? However, today is appearance day and we must be in meditation on Srimati Radharani. And Radharani's qualities are mentioned here. Can you take out that? The qualities of Srimati Radharani is there in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Can you bring that chapter? Qualities of Radharani are mentioned. If you go to our Vrindavan temple, you will see a beautiful picture of Radharani and you see all the 64 qualities of Radharani mentioned and listed. People don't know. You will understand little more about who is Radharani and how she manifests herself here in the subsequent verses. I will read out a little bit more. Now please listen carefully. Krishna Kanta Ganadheki Trividha Prakara Eka Lakshmi Ganapure Mahishi Ganaara Vrajangana Rupa Ara Kanta Ganasara Shri Radhika Hoite Kanta Ganera Vistara. The beloved consorts of Lord Krishna are of three kinds: the goddesses of fortune, the queens, and the milkmaids of Vraja, who are the foremost of all. These consorts all proceed from Radhika. You see, Lakshmi and the queens of Dwarka, all of them, and then the Vrajavasi gopis. These are the three types of manifestations. And all of them are coming from Radharani. Radharani is the origin. Radharani is the origin of these three manifestations. Avatari Krishna Yaiche Kare Avatara Asmini Radha Hoite Tina Ganera Vistara. Just as the fountainhead Lord Krishna is the cause of all incarnations, so Shri Radha is the cause of all these consorts. In South India, we will talk a lot about Lakshmi, Tayar Sannidhi. We go to all the Perumal temples and we see Tayar Sannidhi, Lakshmi. So Lakshmi is coming from Radharani. Is one of the manifestations of Radharani. And there are others, queens of Krishna and the Vrajavasi gopis. Right? So here we are seeing that. And this is Lord Chaitanya's revelation. Vaibhavagana yena tanra anga vibhuti bimba pratibimba rupa mahishi ratati. The goddesses of fortune are partial manifestations of Srimati Radhika, and the queens are reflections of her image. Who are they in relation to Radha? They are partial manifestations. That is, the Lakshmis are partial manifestations of Srimati Radhika. Lakshmi Ganatandra Vaibhava Vilasham Sarupa Mahishi Gana Vaibhava Prakasha Swarupa. The goddess of fortune are her plenary portions, and they display the forms of Vaibhava Vilasa. The queens are of the nature of her Vaibhava Prakasha. Just like Krishna is the fountainhead, and you have from Krishna coming all the expansions, Narayana, Vishnu, three types of Vishnu and all that, Chaturvyuha expansions and all that. Similarly, from Radharani come all the Lakshmis, all the queens and all the Vrajavashi gopis. She is the origin of all the consorts of the expansions of Krishna. Originally, the Akara Swabhava Bhede Brajadevi expansions, Krishna also enjoys rasa. Right? We can understand Radharani is situated. Govinda Nandini Radha, Govinda Mohini, Govinda Sarvasva Sarvakanta Shiromani. Radha is the one who gives pleasure to Govinda, and she is also the enchantress of Govinda. She is the be-all and end-all of Govinda and the crest jewel of all his consorts. You like to recite that shloka because you may feel sleepy otherwise. Govinda Nandini Radha, Govinda Mohini, Govinda Sarvasva, Sarvakanta Shiromani, Devi Krishnamayi Prokta Radhika Paradevata, Sarva Lakshmi Mahi Sarva Kanti Sammohini Para. The transcendental goddess Srimati Radharani is the direct counterpart of Lord Sri Krishna. She is a central figure for all the goddesses of fortune. She possesses all the attractiveness to attract the all-attractive personality of Godhead. She is the primeval internal potency of the Lord. If you follow carefully, we will understand who is Radharani. We are trying to read the Prabhupada's book, Krishna Chaitanya Charitamrita, and try to get a simple understanding so that we can meditate on Srimati Radharani today and ask and pray for her mercy. Devi means resplendent and most beautiful, or else it means the lovely abode of the worship of love sports of Lord Krishna. Krishnamayi Krishna Yara Bhitare Bahire Yanha Yanha Netrapade Tanha Krishna Spure. Krishna Mayi means one who is within and without her Lord Krishna. She sees Lord Krishna wherever she casts her glance. Krishna Mayi means made of Krishna. What a word for Radharani. Her name is Krishna Mayi. She is made of Krishna consciousness. She's completely, her thinking, her feeling, her willing, her looking, her eating, her sleeping, everything is for Krishna. And she's constantly in 100%, 200% Krishna consciousness. So she's called Krishna Mayi, made of Krishna. You can understand why Krishna will be very attracted to Radharani. Krishna Mayi means one who is within and without her Lord Krishna. Okay, we read that. Or Krishna Mayi means that she is identical with Lord Krishna, for she embodies the mellows of love. The energy of Lord Krishna is identical with him. Purport: Krishnamayi has two different imports. First, a person who always thinks of Krishna, both within and without, and who always remembers only Krishna. Wherever he goes or whatever he sees is called Krishnamayi. Also, since Krishna personality is full of love, his loving potency Radharani, being non-different from him, is also called Krishnamayi. Krishna Vancha Purti Rupa Kare Aradhane Ataeva Radhika Nama Purane Vakhane. Her worship Aradhana consists of fulfilling the desires of Lord Krishna. Therefore the Puranas call her Radhika. That's the name of Radharani, because she is fulfilling the desires of Krishna. Her worship consists of fulfilling the desires of Lord Krishna. Therefore, she is called Radhika. We can name our children Radha Devi, Radhika, Radharani, and all that. But it really means this. You see, Prabhupada often mentioned about how he was a very brilliant, intelligent person, Prabhupada. No doubt materially very adept, very good in many things. But Prabhupada, you can see his video playing the mridanga like this with the mic. And he's saying, my father wanted me to be like this. You can see that video with Prabhupada, the headphone, everything. He's remembering his father in the studio, very emotionally actually. And then my father wanted me to be like this. He never wanted me to be a worldly man. His career I want is become a servant of Radharani. I don't want to go to London. Prabhupada is proudly saying that. Nowadays he'll be saying, one nala, I was not able to go to London and become a barrister. You spoilt my life. This is what they'll be telling. Prabhupada is telling, very emotionally, feelingly, my father wanted me to be a servant of Radharani. And he knows he has become definitely a great, wonderful servant of Radharani by the mercy of his Guru and the Parampara. And he went and carried Radharani all over the world. Gauranga Mahaprabhu all over the world, and not just an ordinary servant of Radharani, but a brilliant, sterling servant of Radharani. Carrying Krishna's words everywhere, his name everywhere. And in so many places all over the world today, they are all glorifying Radharani. And having huge kirtan, feast, bhajan, remembrance of Radharani. Why? Because of Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, such a pure servant of Radharani. It is only by Radharani's potency that Prabhupada was doing these wonderful activities. He was empowered to do that. And through Prabhupada, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu carried out these wonderful missionary activities. So here we are seeing the name Radha is coming because she excels in worshipping Krishna. Same thing Shukadeva Goswami also said in the Bhagavatam, but he didn't say anything about Radharani much. But in various Puranas there are lots of wonderful glorification of Radharani mentioned. And some of them are being quoted here and there in the Chaitanya Charitamrita also. So here is that shloka of Shukadeva Goswami. Anayaradito nunam bhagavan harir ishvarah yanno vihaya govindah prito yam anayad raha. Truly, the personality of Godhead has been worshipped by her. Therefore, Lord Govinda, being pleased, has brought her to a lonely spot, leaving us all behind. It's from Srimad Bhagavatam 10.30.28. In the Ras Leela, you will hear this. So therefore Radha is Paramadevata, the supreme goddess, and she is worshipable for everyone. She is the protectress of all, and she is the mother of the entire universe. Okay, so Radha is the original source of all goddesses of fortune. This is in South India, in Tamil Nadu. So I thought that we should read this and come to understand why we are establishing Srimati Radharani here, why we are establishing a Radha Krishna temple here. Because it is the highest type of worship you can do. If you worship Radha and Krishna, it's the topmost, highest worship. Right? Prabhupada also mentioned that it is not so easy to worship Radha and Krishna. Only very pure devotees of the Lord can actually worship Radha and Krishna. To go near Radha and Krishna requires that level of love and bhakti, pure, unalloyed love. But through the agency of the Parampara, through the agency of Guru, the Acharya, and through wonderful servants of Krishna, and finally through Radharani, we can actually approach Krishna. This is how it is. It's not so easy to approach. Therefore Prabhupada said that you may worship Radha and Krishna, but you will be worshipping them as Lakshmi Narayana. They are approachable. They are manifested in the material world for worship. So he said you must worship Krishna not in his... Where mood is that we worship in Vrindavan Bhava. But our deity worship, he said that you cannot do that unless you are in that Bhava, in that Rasa. So we worship Radha and Krishna in a very regal way, in a very wonderful way. Because Brajavasis and all of them worship Krishna just like he is, like a cowherd boy. And because their relationships are like that, and they are in that rasa, in that loving emotion, already situated in very high bhakti. For us, we cannot approach in the same bhakti. This is the problem. Sometimes you will see people saying, speaking about Krishna, avan varamata, avan romba kurumbu. You cannot assume that relationship simply by saying that expression. I have heard people saying all sorts of things. You put yourself in the mood of Yashoda Mai, put yourself in the mood of Radharani, Gopi. This is wrong. It is, almost like Sahajiya. It is not easy to worship the Lord in that mode. But the Lord will take worship from Brajavasis in that mode. That's why Sanatana Goswami was able to tie Madan Mohan on a sack and put him on that tree and give him a small stroke and give him some dried chapati. And Krishna was waiting for Sanatana Goswami's exchange. And he has come away from that Chaudhary who was worshipping in his house, and he has told the Chaudhary, hand me over to Sanatana Goswami. And Sanatana Goswami told the Chaudhary, I cannot do deity worship and all that. I am just a sannyasi walking around each day. I will stay in different places. I don't have any capacity to worship. But the Lord came in his dream and told him, no, I want to come and stay with you. I will not ask for any royal regal thing. I will not ask for anything, don't worry. He told and forced himself inside Sanatana Goswami's domain. And Sanatana Goswami actually did not want to do it. He was very busy writing so many things Lord Chaitanya has told me to write. So he is very busy with devotional service. But the Lord wants to come and enjoy with Sanatana Goswami. So he accepted being tied in a sack. That is the deity worship Sanatana Goswami is doing. One sack, and he is busy writing. Once in a while, I forgot, I give a little tap to him and he will swing and he will be busy writing. And he says, I have to feed him, I have to go for bhiksha. Otherwise, I don't even want to eat. I'll go for bhiksha, get some dried chapati, something, and offer to him. And he's very happy. Madan Mohan is very happy sitting and enjoying the company of Sanatana Goswami. And then to extract a little more attention, he will say, it is nice that you are giving me this. And can you add a little salt? Like that he will ask. You want to enjoy rasa with him. Then he will immediately say, I told you before only I cannot provide anything. You are the Lord of everything. You have everything under your control. Whatever you give me only I can give you. You are giving me dry chapati, I am giving you the dry chapati. You are playing all these tricks with me. If you want to eat something, you bring it. I'll give it to you. Like that he spoke, and you love to hear that from Sanatana Goswami. Krishna is hankering to be with his pure devotee, with his Brajavasi devotee. We cannot worship like that. We cannot put Jagannath in a sack and tell Lord Jagannath, in Puri you have Chappan Bhog, here you will get no Bhog. You cannot ever say that. You have to worship him like a king. Raja Bhoga, you have to give and you have to pay obeisance. Why? You are not like that mode. You don't have that type of devotion. So our deity worship, we cannot worship in this mode that is mentioned here in that rasa. Only the Brajavasis are doing that. Lakshmi and respectful way. Narayana, God, you are Om Sahasra Sirsha, Purusha, Sahasraksha, Sahasrapat. That also is not like this Radharani's bhava. But she manifests herself for that type of bhava as Lakshmi. You can worship Lakshmi Narayana, God, Narayana, Vaikunta, like that. But Radharani means Vraja bhava. That is very private and very special for Krishna. Only Krishna she deals with, nobody else. And Krishna is completely enamored by Radharani. Because she is coming from the absolute truth for his pleasure. It's mentioned in the Purana how from Krishna came Radharani, Kaladini Shakti. And it's completely designed and made for giving Krishna pleasure. That does not mean that it is some robot or something like you're seeing nowadays. It's a personality, completely capable of emotion and complete full personality. That is Radharani. And therefore her qualities are described. Her qualities are described so that we don't mistake. When we hear all these things, the mundane mind always makes everything mundane. It is searching for explanations of how to mundanize it in the mind. So it's very difficult to understand, that's why. So you will see here the beautiful where is the characteristics of, where are the qualities of Radharani? There is a whole chapter on that. Premera Swarupa Deha Prema Vibhavita Krishnera Preyasi Sreshta Jagate Vidita. The body of Srimati Radharani is a veritable transformation of love of Godhead. She is the dearmost friend of Krishna, and this is known throughout the world. That say Mahabhavahvaya Chintamani Sara Krishna Vancha Purna Kareye Karyatanra. The supreme ecstasy of Srimati Radharani is the essence of spiritual life. Her only business is to fulfill all the desires of Krishna. Mahabhava Chintamani Radhara Swarupa Lalitadi Shakhi Tandra Kaya Vyuha Rupa. Srimati Radharani is the topmost spiritual gem, and the other gopis, Lalita, Vishaka and so on, are expansions of her spiritual body. Radha Prati Krishna Sneha Sugandhi Udvartana Tate Ati Sugandhi Deha Ujjvala Varana. Srimati Radharani's transcendental body is brilliant in luster and full of all transcendental fragrances. Lord Krishna's affection for her is like a perfumed massage. There's a large, huge purport for this. Karunamrita dharaya snana prathama tarunyamrita dharaya snana madhyama. Srimati Radharani takes her first bath in the shower of the nectar of compassion, and she takes her second bath in the nectar of youth. After her midday bath, Radharani takes another bath in the nectar of bodily luster, and she puts on the garment of shyness, which is her black silk sari. It's a very exotic description of who Radharani is and what she does, and how so intangible and top class is the makeup of Radharani. Krishna Anuraga Dviti Aruna Vasana Pranayamana Kunchilikaya Vaksha Achadana. Srimati Radharani's affection for Krishna is her upper garment, which is pinkish in color. She then covers her breasts with another garment composed of affection and anger towards Krishna. Saundarya Kunkuma Sakhi Pranaya Chandana Smita Kanti Karpuratine Ange Vilepana. Srimati Radharani's personal beauty is the reddish powder known as kunkuma. Her affection for her associates is sandalwood pulp, and the sweetness of her smile is camphor. All these combined together are smeared over her body. Krishnera Ujjvala Rasa Mrigamadhabhara Se Mrigamadhe Vichitrata Kalevara. Conjugal love for Krishna is an abundance of musk, and with that musk her whole body is decorated. Prachannamana Vamya Dhammila Vinayasa Dhira Dhiratmaka Guna Ange Patavasha. Craftiness and covered anger constitute the arrangement of her hair. The quality of anger due to jealousy is the silk garment covering her body. Her attachment for Krishna is the reddish color of betel nuts on her brilliant lips. Her double dealings in loving affairs constitute the black ointment round her eyes. The ornaments decorating her body are the blazing ecstasies of goodness and the constantly existing ecstasies headed by jubilation. All these ecstasies are the ornaments all over her body. Kilakinchitadi bhava vimshati bhushita gunashreni pushpamala sarvange purita. Also ornamenting her body are the 20 kinds of ecstatic symptoms. Beginning with Kilakinchita, her transcendental qualities constitute the flower garland hanging in fullness over her body. The 20 different moods headed by Kilakinchita are described as follows. So, I just want to give you a little look into the deepness of the Tattva of Radharani explained in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Evlo per Chaitanya Charitamrita you have read? How many of you have read Chaitanya Charitamrita? Or are reading Chaitanya Charitamrita? Yes, very few. Very few. If you read Chaitanya Charitamrita especially, you will understand a lot about Lord Gauranga Mahaprabhu, and you will understand a lot about Radhika, Radharani. And what is the meaning of Gaudiya Vaishnava Siddhanta? Pure love of Krishna manifested in Radharani is the topmost attractive feature. It's mentioned here. That's why it is described like this, in a very amazingly exotic way. Radharani is not simply some ordinary female. Only when you read this you will come to know how it is described. These are all very subtle and super subtle and completely transcendental and fully devotional attributes. It is not for us to just say, Radhe ki jai, Maharani ki jai. We will tell and take the feast and we will go away. Over. Everybody is interested in jumping and dancing. Radharani ki jai, Radharani ki jai. Barsane wali ki jai, jai, jai. Over. When is the feast? Feast over. Let's go to sleep. Get up again and go. But Prabhupada did not write all these books for us to do only that. You have to read scrutinizingly, and you have to understand why you're doing what you're doing. Why you're doing what you're doing. And what has been given by Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada to human civilization. What an amazing amount of information. Right? I know that when we read this information, we feel very sleepy on the day of Radhashtami. When we speak about Radharani and speak details about her, we want to sleep. Look at our misfortune. That's why we are unfortunate. We are unfortunate. Whereas Parikshit Maharaj sat down like this only for 7 days and 7 nights and kept asking question after question after question after question. And Shukadeva Goswami said, didn't stop. 7 days, 7 nights he spoke. 24 hours they were speaking Bhagavatam. And reading and hearing all those wonderful pastimes of Krishna. He asked again and again and heard it. So, we must actually try to deeply understand as much as we can. Today is Radhashtami. Anyway, we are fasting. Our mind is saying, so many other things. I have to do this, I have to do that. Actually, there's nothing to do, really speaking. So, if we can control our mind and tell ourselves, no, this I must hear. Today is Radharani's appearance day. I'll be in a better position to meditate on Radharani. I'll be in a better position to appreciate pastimes. If I next tell you pastimes of Radharani, I will be speaking in the afternoon in Tamil. In the Tamil, when I speak, I'll speak only pastime. It is better. But in the morning, if you hear the philosophy and the tattva, in the afternoon and the evening, you will be in a better position to understand the pastime. Then you know what is the meaning of this. Otherwise, simply hearing the pastime, you'll say, "Anda kadai nalla irundhathu, inda kadai nalla." That is a very nice story, I like. But all are not just stories. They are very deep pastimes. They have many, many different angles of understanding. And in each angle, a different story will come out of it. And that's what is going on in the pastimes between Radha and Krishna. They are not ordinary. And they cannot be understood so simply. And these people are not only hearing, they are inside the pastime. They are taking part in the pastime. And they are giving Krishna that pleasure. And Krishna is in turn giving the pleasure. There is something amazing going on there. So much are they doing it that Krishna comes and blows the whistle and says, okay, I cannot give any more to you. You have beaten me. You have overtaken me in giving pleasure. That is the end of the Rasa Leela. He comes and says, I am not able to repay you. I can't reciprocate with you in the same way anymore. And it is Krishna who stops. I am not able to do it. to that level of ecstasy and deep love, Radharani is engineering that and moving ahead for Krishna and Krishna's pleasure. So the mood in understanding Radharani is the mood of service. That's why it's very important for us to know. The mood of service, Prabhupada explained, is called Swarupa. That is your constitutional position. That's what you are in the spiritual world, assisting the gopis and Radhani. Gopi Bartupadakamalayora Dasa Dasa Nudasa. Everybody is in some way connected in service to Radharani, somewhere down the line. You may not be on the top. Somebody like Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada may be very much on the top. I don't know. But I do know that definitely he must be something like that. But we may not be. But somewhere in our constitutional position in the spiritual world, we are placed somewhere. That's why it's important for us to know. All the services go through this structure of Radharani, through Radharani. And she is the king of services, queen of services, Vrindavaneshwari. And she is able to please Krishna so much that Krishna is saying, I can't reciprocate with you anymore. So you can imagine how much Krishna will be indebted to Radharani and the gopis, the Vrajavasis, because they culture that mood of service to that extent. So today we are asking Radharani for reinstating me in that mood of service. Seva. So it is not only that we do seva in a particular way, which we will do according to sadhana and being a sadhaka, but relishing that service. There is another thing going on. We are not able to relish that service because we are sadhakas. We just keep on looking at the watch and do our seva. There is no time in the spiritual world for seva. It's mentioned there in the Brahma Samhita. There is no time at all. Time cannot stop devotional service to Krishna. Time cannot stop devotional service to Krishna. Time is subservient. Time is, in the spiritual world, what is that shloka in the Brahma Samhita? Daily solringla. What is that shloka? Last portion. Huh? Yeah. What is that full shloka? It starts from a different meter, we'll start, no? We'll start chanting in a different meter. Sometimes I'm wanting to ask the question so that you'll wake up. What is that meter we chant? You don't know? The last portion. Striya Kanta Kanta Paramapurusha Kalpattaravo Druma Bhumis Chintamani Ganamayi Toyam Amritam. Very beautiful verse. Katha Ganam Natyam Gavanam Api Priya Sakhi Chidanandam Jyoti Paramapi Tadasvadyam Vicha Shayatra Kshirabi Shavati Shurabibhyascha Sumahan Nimesharadhakyo Vabrajati Nahi Yatrapi Samaya Bhaje Sveta Dvipam Iham Golokam Nahi Yatrapi Samaya. There is no question of time. Time is not affecting anything in the spiritual world. Time is not at all there. Can you imagine how it will be? Watch and all not at all required. Only conditioned souls wear watch. And they keep looking at it. Our sadhana is based on this. From morning till night I chant, then I come for this, then I come for class, and I try not to sleep. And then after that I go take prasadam, and after that I am free to do anything I want. Sadhana is over. Wow! This is sadhana. This is what you are waiting to do. Waiting to do. Now I can look at the phone and browse the thing. Time is... Why are you looking at the time? When will I be free from sadhana? That's why you're looking at the time. Subconsciously that's what's going on. But just imagine that Radharani is the queen of service. Continuously, no question of time. Beyond time. Beyond time. Why there should be any limit for serving Krishna? That is the land of Radharani. That is Vrindavana. No limit for service. So, if you see and read from the Chaitanya Charitamrita, so sweet Chaitanya Charitamrita is so sweet. As you go deeper and deeper and understand it, you chant Hare Krishna, you will really be introduced to understand at least a little bit. In the ocean, at least one drop. So understand what is going on. What is Radharani's seva for Krishna? It is the appearance day of that Radharani today. So if we can appreciate a little small bund, one drop, right? At least, and really understand a little bit, then we'll be in a very good position to invite their lordships here. The devotees, they have to sincerely desire that Radha and Krishna appear here. Sometimes delay is because of the fact that there is no proper invitation. There is no heartfelt invitation. So take some time to come. Because not fully inviting me deeply. Sometimes marriage I'll think about whether I should go or not. Human beings themselves are like that. I am not very much connected with them, but I have to go because if I don't go, I'll get a bad name. But I'll go, but I really don't want to go actually. I don't want to go, but I have to go. Like that and all, we have situations. Isn't it? Even we don't go if we are invited, if we are not invited properly. Lord Shiva did not go to Daksha's sacrifice. He said, better don't go, he will insult. He told his wife Parvati, he said, don't go because he will insult you, because you are my wife. And he is waiting to insult me, and if I don't go and you go, he will insult you. If you go, I have to go with you actually so that I can take the insult. But if you go alone, he will definitely insult you because he wants to insult me. So he didn't go. He didn't go. But she got so insulted that she committed suicide there. And she left. He knew exactly what will happen. Same way, if our invitation of the Lord is not complete and full within our capacities, why will the Lord come? Why will the Lord come? So devotees have the unique capacity to heartfully engage in Krishna consciousness. Not only mechanically. With the heart, that is where Radharani's mercy is involved. Consciously, with full emotion in my heart, I want to engage in service to Krishna. That blessing comes from Radharani. So that is why, if you want to do worship of Radha and Krishna, you must have that level of preliminary emotion at least. Emotion, bhava, is very necessary. And the whole Chaitanya Charitamrita speaks to you about indulging in Krishna consciousness in sadhana to evoke that emotion, to bring out that emotion that is there in everybody. And today is the day where we can play to Radharani for bringing out that emotion. The meaning of sadhana is to use the senses, use the mind, use the intelligence, use the body to awaken that emotion we have towards Krishna, that bhava. And when we advance in that bhava, we become closer to understanding the service of Radharani. And we become closer to seva to Krishna, and then we can experience that emotion. So what we are trying to do in devotional service is something amazing. You become again that person attached to Krishna in loving devotional service. So we must awaken our devotion to Krishna. That is the challenge. Sadhana means we are working on awakening our devotion, our emotion for Krishna. For that, we need the blessing of Srimati Radharani. She is the master of that. She is the master of Mahabhava. That is why confidentially devotees pray to Srimati Radharani today. So we should be offering our prayers today, and we should be doing kirtan, bhajan, and meditating on how we can become recipients of Radharani's mercy, so that our emotion of devotion is awakened. So I'll read a little bit more and we will sing that Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite. Can you bring that song? Can you give it to everybody? This is very nice. Saubhagya tilaka charu lalate ujvala prema vaichitya ratna hridaya tarala. The tilaka of good fortune is on her beautiful forehead. Her various loving affairs are a gem and her heart is the locket. Madhya Vayasa Sakhi Skande Karanyasa Krishna Leela Manovriti Sakhi Asha Pasha. Srimati Radharani's gopi friends are her mental activities, which are concentrated on the pastimes of Sri Krishna. She keeps her hand on the shoulder of a friend who represents youth. Purport: Radharani's 8 companions, Ashtasakhi, are different varieties of pleasure connected with the pastimes of Krishna. Following those pastimes of Sri Krishna are other activities which are represented by the assistance of the gopis. So you go to Mayapur, you take darshan of the Ashtasakhis. Who are the Ashtasakhis? Lalita, Vishaka, Tungavidya, Chitra, Champakalata, Lalita, Vishaka, then Induleka, Rangadevi, Sudevi. You see these Ashtasakhis there. They are all standing there in Mayapur. They are all, often we take darshan. I almost take darshan every day of Ashtasakhis and Radha Madhava, somehow or the other. And you can see, it's mentioned here, they are all different types of pleasures manifested by Radharani for the sake of Krishna through them. That's why Ashtasakhi is very important. There are all very exotic, deep meanings for all these aspects of Radharani. Nijanga Saura Bhalye Garva Paryanka Tatte Vasi Ache Sada Chinte Krishna Sangha. Srimati Radharani's bedstead is pride itself, and it is situated in the abode of her bodily aroma. She is always seated there thinking of Krishna's association. Krishna Nama Gunayasa Avatam Shakhane Krishna Nama Gunayasha Pravahe Vachane. Srimati Radharani's earrings are the name, fame and qualities of Lord Krishna. The glories of Lord Krishna's name, fame, qualities are always inundating her speech. So this is the meaning of Krishna Mai. Told you she is made of Krishna. All parts of her body, her ornaments, her dress, her limbs and everything is got Krishna Rasa, aspects of pleasing Krishna. Krishna ke koraya shama rasa madhupana Nirantara Purna Kare Krishnera Sarvakama. Srimati Radharani induces Krishna to drink the honey of the conjugal relationship. She is therefore engaged in satisfying all the lusty desires of Krishna. Krishnera Vishuddha Prema Ratnera Akara Anupama Gunagana Purna Kalevara. Srimati Radharani is a mine filled with valuable jewels of love for Krishna. Her transcendental body is complete with unparalleled spiritual qualities. Ka Krishnasya Pranayajani Bhushimati Radhikaika Kasya Preyasi Anupama Gunaradhikaika Nachanya Jaimhyam Keshe Drishi Taralata Nishturbatam Kuches Asya Vancha Purtyai Prabhavati Hare Radhikaika Cha Annacha Anya. If one asks about the origin of love of Krishna, the answer is that the origin is in Srimati Radharani alone. Who is the most dear friend of Krishna? The answer again is Srimati Radharani alone. No one else. Srimati Radharani's hair is very curly, her 2 eyes are always moving to and fro, and her breasts are firm. Since all transcendental qualities are manifested in Srimati Radharani, she alone is able to fulfill all the desires of Krishna. No one else. Na cha anya. It keeps saying, no one else can do it. Even Satya Yandra Saubhagya Gunavanche Satya Bhama Yandra Thani Kala Vilasa Shike Vrajarama Yandra Saundaryadi Gunavanche Lakshmi Parvati Yandra Prati Yandra Pati Vrata Dharmavanche Arundhati. Even Satyabhama, one of the queens of Sri Krishna, desires the fortunate position of an excellent qualities of Srimati Radharani. All the gopis learn the art of dressing from Srimati Radharani. Even the goddess of fortune, Lakshmi, and the wife of Lord Shiva, Parvati, desire her beauty and qualities. Indeed, Arundhati, the celebrated chaste wife of Vasishta, also wants to imitate the chastity and religious principles of Srimati Radharani. Yandra Sadgunaganane Krishna na Paya Para Tandra Gunaganibe Kemane Jivachara. Look at this. Even Lord Krishna himself cannot reach the limit of the transcendental qualities of Srimati Radharani. How then can an insignificant living entity count them? Prabhu kahe Janilon Krishna Radha Prema Tattva. That you know best. You are simply making me speak. I am speaking only by your potency. I am like a stringed instrument. If you stroke the string, the sound will come. Like that, my tongue is being stroked and I am speaking. I don't know how it is coming because I am not capable of all these things. This beautiful pastimes of the Lord are coming out of me because you are striking my tongue and it's producing these sounds. I am not capable, but Ramananda Rai is like the height of understanding of Radha Krishna Tattva and the pastimes. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya is telling Lord Chaitanya when he goes to South India, please meet Ramananda Rai on the bank of the Godavari. He will please you very much. He knows these things very well. Lord Chaitanya will say, yes, I'll definitely meet him. It's not that he does not know. And he goes there and he meets with Ramananda Rai. And there's a beautiful exchange of, exchange between Ramananda Rai and Lord Chaitanya. They both embrace each other, start crying and fall down on the floor. Because who is Ramananda Rai? Who is Ramananda Rai? Huh? Lalita or Vishaka? Vishaka. Ramananda Rai is Vishaka, who is very closely assisting Radharani. And so he's come in this and he's speaking about, he knows everything about Radharani and about Radha Krishna pastimes. So Lord Chaitanya, who is Krishna himself, is hearing from him, tell me. And he's telling, now I've understood Radha and Krishna. Now tell me more. And asking Ramananda Rai to speak. And Ramananda is saying, you know everything. You are making me speak. He said, no, I want to hear. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya has told me to meet you and learn this from you. And I'm hearing from you. So it's so sweetly wonderful, the conversations, bringing out the beauty and the amazing exotic character of Srimati Radharani. So in this way you will see many different aspects of Radharani Tattva. We can keep reading and reading. This is what we should be doing the whole day. We should read, we should chant, we should do kirtan, we should eat a little prasadam, sleep a little bit, and then whole day be glorifying Krishna, and this is what we are supposed to do. But because we are incapable of doing, in between we have got some devotional service like building temple, sweeping the floor, doing that and all that, because we are on a different platform. But we should actually simply hear, chant and do. But Prabhupada has asked us to do many things to propagate this understanding of Srimati Radharani through the chanting of the holy names Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Srimati Radharani ki, Shri Radhashtami Mahotsav ki, Nittai Gaura Premanande. So, reading will continue about Radharani's glories. I am just going to now chant this beautiful. Where is the song book and the? If you, this is called Radhika Stava from Stavamala of Srila Rupa Goswami. It goes like this: Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Dayite Gokula Taruni Mandala Mahite Damodar Rati Vardhana Veshe Harinesh Khuta Vrinda Vipineshe Vrishabhanudhadi Navashashilekhe Lalita Sakhi Gunaramita Vishake Karunam Kurumayi Karuna Parite Sanaka Sanatana Varnita Charite. I am reading the meaning. O Radha, O beloved of Madhava, O you are all worshipped by all young girls of Gokula. All glories unto you, all glories unto you. O you who dress yourself in such a way as to increase Lord Damodara's love and attachment for you, O Queen of Lord Hari's pleasure grove Vrindavana, which is pleasure grove of Lord Hari, O new moon who arisen from the ocean of King Vrishabhanu, O friend of Lalita, O you who make Vishaka loyal to you, due to your wonderful qualities of friendliness, kindness and faithfulness to Krishna, O you who are filled with compassion, O you whose divine characteristics are described by the great sages Sanaka and Sanatana, O most merciful Radha, please be merciful to me. Okay, ready? Are you all awake? Hare Krishna, Hari Bol, Srimati Radharani ki, Radhashtami Mahotsav ki, Nitai Gaura Premanande. Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Dayite Gokula Taruni Mandala Mahite. Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Dayite Gokula Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Dayite Gokula Taruni Mandala Mahite. Jaya Jaya Madhava Dayite Gokula Taruni Mandala Mahite. Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Dayite Gokula Taruni Mandala Mahite. Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Dayite Gokula Taruni Damodara Rati Vardhana Veshe Harinesh Khuta Vrinda Vipineshe. 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 Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Dayite Gokula Taruni Mandala Mahite. Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Dayite Gokula Taruni Mandala Mahite. वृषभानुधाधि नव शशिलेखे ललित सखी गुण रमित विशाखे वृषभानुधाधि वृषभानुधाधि नव शशिलेखे ललित सखी गुण रमित विशाखे राधे जय जय माधव दयिते गोकुल तारुणी मंडल मयिते राधे जय जय करुणं गुरुमयी भरुण भरिते सनक सनातन वर्णित चरिते करुणां गुरुमयी करुण भरिते सनक सनातन वर्णित चरिते करुणां गुरुमयी करुण भरिते सनक सनातन वर्णित चरिते करुणां गुरुमयी करुण भरिते सनक सनातन वर्णित चरिते राधे जय जय माधव दयिते गोकुल तारुणी मंडल महिते राधे जय जय राधे जय जय माधव दयिते गोकुल तारुणी मंडल महिते राधे जय जय माधव दयिते श्रीमती राधा रानी की श्री राधाष्टमी महोत्सव की नित्य गौर प्रेमानंदे। We'll be reading. We can continue to read from this. Om Tat Sat. Jai Shri Prabhupada ki.